here's what's going to happen. I'm gonna read this, and you're gonna listen, and you're gonna stay on the line, and you're not gonna interrupt, you're not gonna speak for any reason. Some of this you know, but I'm gonna start at the top of the page. Meticulous. Yes. Methodical. Educated. They were these things. Nothing extreme, like anyone they varied. There were days of mistakes, and laziness, and infighting. And there were days, good days, when by anyone's judgment, they would have to be considered clever. No one would say that what they were doing was complicated. It wouldn't even be considered new, except for maybe in the geological sense. They took from their surroundings what was needed and made of it something more. There was value in the thing, clearly, that they were certain of. But what is the application? In a matter of hours, they had turned it to everything from mass transit to satellite launching, imagining devices the size of jumbo jets. Everything would be cheaper, it was practical, and they knew it. But above all that, beyond the positives, they knew that the easiest way to be exploited is to sell something they did not yet understand. So they kept quiet. The parties would continue. Any birthday, anniversary, holiday, maybe some obscure project launch, it didn't matter, any reason would do. What was important is that Thomas Granger, their last best hope of funding, show up. And if he left a little earlier than they would have liked, well, he couldn't be blamed. He was only there to please his daughter Rachel. And she was only there to please Abe. Abe had taken on the task of quantifying and explaining the device. But as weeks became months, their enthusiasm became a slow realization that they were out of their depth. But the idea had been spoken, and the words wouldn't go back after they'd been uttered aloud. And with no need for it, no possible real-world application, no advantage at all to be gained from it, the idea stayed. The permutations were endless. They tried again going to the source, but even while keeping him separated from Abe by 2 rooms, Thomas Granger's condition could only be described as vegetative.
What did he say?
From this, they deduced that the problem was recursive, but beyond that, found themselves admitting, against their own nature, and once again, that the answer was unknowable. The question should have been what to do with the comatose man in the guest bedroom.
We can wait this out.
But in Abe's mind, he was already compiling the list. 2 milligrams of oral triazolam every 7 hours induces a safe sleep state and a minimal metabolic rate. At this continued state of rest, the human body breathes 0.3 liters of oxygen a minute, or roughly 2,000 liters in 4 days. A Class E oxygen tank holds 625 liters. To maintain hydration, the body cycles through a minimum of 2.5 liters of water per day. Any food would be a luxury, but the small tank of medical-grade nitrous oxide would be needed on the other side. Past the room that contained their machines, and up 2 levels, he made his way to another room, where he had stored what I will refer to from here on as the failsafe machine. At this point, there would have been some discussion. Abe would, of course, want to know how. Aaron would have to explain all about the storage manifest and how it showed 2 rooms under the name Abram Turger. Then Abe would need to know how. Aaron would explain that when he went up there and found the failsafe running, he knew exactly what it was. But Abe would ask, how? And then the bit about the modular design of the coffins, and how it meant he could fold one up and take it back inside another. They are not one-time use only. They are recyclable, Aaron would say. How? Abe would ask. And Aaron would describe how simple things become when you know precisely what someone will have for breakfast, even in a world of tamper-proof lids. how. And that's where I would have entered the story, or exited, depending on your reference. Because when Aaron came back the second time, it wasn't so easy. He wasn't expecting me to put up a fight, and by that time he was too exhausted to take me. But for reasons that are only evident to me now, I understood that he simply wanted it more, that he just had more invested. So I left. He had already performed the task, as I had intended to, of recording the conversations of the day just in case. Through that earpiece, he had a 3-second lead on the world. He had but to speak aloud the words that came into his head, and those around him would fall in line. I can tell you with certainty what I did that night when it was my turn. But I think it would do little good, because what the world remembers, the actuality, the last revision is what counts apparently. So how many times did it take Aaron, as he cycled through the same conversations, lip-syncing trivia over and over? How many times would it take before he got it right? 3, 4, 20. I've decided to believe that only one more would have done it. I can almost sleep at night if there's only one more. Slowly and methodically, he reverse engineered a perfect moment. He took from his surroundings what was needed and made of it something more. And once the details had been successfully navigated, there would be nothing left to do but wait for the conflict. Maybe the obligatory last-minute moral debate, until the noise of the room escalates into panic and background screams as the gunman walks in. And eventually he must have got it perfect, and it must have been beautiful with all the praise and adoration he had coming. He had probably saved lives after all. Who knows what would have happened if he hadn't been there? Now I have repaid any debt I may have owed you. You know all that I know. My voice is the only proof that you will have of the truth of any of this. I might have written the letter with my signature, but my handwriting is not what it used to be. Maybe you've had the presence of mind to record this. That's your prerogative. You will not be contacted by me again.
Good morning. Every half meter, placez-les chaque demi-mètre, everywhere. Partout. Everywhere.
And if you look,
Partout.
you will not find me.